Hello there all my lovely jewelry makers, I'm Christina at CSLdesigns, and in today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this quick and easy fidget ring. So if you want to learn how you can make your own, then keep watching. So these are the materials that we need. Now the wire that I'm using is a regular round silver coated copper wire, and the first gauge here is a 1mm. That's going to be the base wire, and then I'm using a 0.4mm for the weaving wire. As for the beads, I'm using rose gold metal spacer beads in both 3mm and 2mm. Of course you can play around with the size of beads that you want to. And as for our tools, first of all I'm using some flush cutters so we can cut our wire, tweezer nose pliers to help manipulate the wire, and finally a ring mantle to help shape and size the ring properly. Now in the description box down below you'll find the material list along with useful links. Otherwise, let's get it all together and let's get started. And then we need to cut some lengths of our wire. So what I have is two lengths of my 1mm of about 20 centimeters each, and these will be the base wires. As for the 0.4mm, which is our weaving wire, I'm leaving that attached to the reel, that way we have minimum wastage. So we're going to start out weaving the ring bands. So I'm taking my weaving wire here and then one length of my base wires, and then I just want to start towards one end of the base wire but making sure I leave at least 5 centimeters. And then as for the weaving wire, just a short tail so we have something to hold on to, because what we want is for the weave to be roughly in the middle of the base wires here, have a decent length on either end of it. So first of all I'm just going to attach the weaving wire to the base wire by wrapping it around once, and then I'm going to bring in the other base wire, lay that above the other one, and then bring the weaving wire over the top of them, push that down, come down behind and straight away up between the two base wires, and then use that to push down as well, and then just wrap around the top one by itself. Now we can always use our tweezer nose to help push any wraps nice and tight, but this is basically the weave that we're going to be doing. So this is diagonal wire weave. This is my personal favorite. You can always do a different one if you prefer. I do have a playlist full of different wire weaves, so choose one that takes two base wires. It's completely up to you. But to start the next round, I'm just going to wrap around the bottom one and then over the top of both of them and then up between the two so I can wrap around the top one by itself. And that is now round two. So you just want to keep going like this, around the bottom one, over the top of both of them, come up between so we can go around the top one by itself. So just keep going like this until you have the length that you need. So I now finished the length of weave here. Then I can just go in and cut off the excess. So we're done using the weaving wire now. And what I just want to mention is a way you can know how much you need to weave is if you take your ring mandrel or whatever you're using, and then for instance take a scrap piece of wire and then just use that wire to bring it around your ring mandrel for the size you want. Now what you need to do is make sure that the wire doesn't meet up with itself. So we want to leave a decent gap here on one side, and you can just take it off, straighten the wire back out, and then you know roughly how long you need to weave. You can then compare this as you go. But then before I go any further, we might as well just finish off the ends of the wires. So we have the weaving wire wrapping around a single base wire. Then what I want to do is just cut off the excess basically in between the two base wires, and then I'm going to take the tweezer nose and then make sure to push that end, kind of roll it in the direction that the wrap is going so the end gets tucked in between the base wires. That way you won't be able to feel it, so just make sure it's not going to catch or scratch on any skin. Of course, just repeat the same with the other end as well, and then I can grab my ring mandrel and start to shape it here. So just put it roughly the size that you want and start bringing the two ends around. Now don't worry if the two ends of the base wires here aren't even, as long as we have enough to make the design with. And you can see the ends of the weave, they aren't meeting up. We have basically a gap between them, which is what we want. And then once we have that basic shape in place, I then want to grab onto one end first of all. So grab onto where the weave ends and the two base wires with the other hand, and then just start to push them out towards the side that they're naturally going to. You can also split them up a little bit, and then the same with the other one. Push them out to the side so they're basically going to be facing away from each other, and from there we then need to start bringing them back downwards. So we need to basically create a curve into these wires. So you can do one at a time if you want to. Take the bottom one first and make sure we add a curve into it and where it's coming from. So basically it's going to end up then crossing over the other end of the weave there, and just do it until you're happy with how that curve looks. And then the other one I'm going to bring down as well, but just make sure I'm leaving a gap between them. We can always adjust it, so just get the basic shape in place for now, and of course flip it and do the same with the other ends. And again, make sure you leave that gap between the two base wires, and you basically just want to adjust them until you're happy with how it looks. And now before we start to finish anything off, we need to remember to add in the beads here while the wires are open. So just one at a time. You can add your beads however you want to. I'm just going to do it in the order of one small, one large, and one small on each of them. Make sure to push that down so they sit on the curve down here, and just repeat the same with the rest of them, and then just add your beads to the ones you want however you want to. And then to finish off the wires and also fasten the beads in place so they can't fall off, of course, what I'm going to do is to kind of hold this in place, and then just working on one side at a time, I'm going to take the two lengths of the base wire here and start to bend them down the side of the ring band. And then I actually want to start pushing them through to the side where they're coming from. And you can always grab your pliers if you need to. It's a little bit easier to grab hold of the wires sometimes with them. So we kind of lock this curved side in place. Now I'm just going to flip the piece around and do the same thing with the other wires. So again, make sure to hold everything in place and then start to bend the wires against the ring band and then push them through to the other side and pull them all the way out. And then now it's just a matter of finishing off the wires. So I just want to get them into the proper position first of all. You can also use pliers to help squeeze them around the ring band because we want to make sure that they're going to be fastened nicely. Now I want them to kind of come behind themselves as they're wrapping around here, and just make sure to get them tight around the ring band here. So obviously we don't want any of the wires to open up at any point while wearing it. And when you feel like they're nicely in place, I'm going to go to the back and basically cut off the excess of the wire. Now I want to cut them so that when they're cut, the very end that's left is going to be able to wrap all the way around the ring band like it already is, but then also just come up the other side here and basically tuck in underneath itself. Now rather cut off too little than too much, because you can always cut off more if you need to. I think I just need to cut a little bit more. And then take your tweezer nose and you just want to push in that very end, kind of back up the other side of the ring band. So it kind of tucks in against the side of itself. So the end of the wire is going to not be facing towards the skin, but it's still going to be secure enough that it's going to hold its shape. So just make sure to feel it with your fingers. If you can't feel the ends, then that's fine. Of course, we just need to flip it around and also finish off the other ends in the same way. And there you then have your finished fidget ring. You can now play with the beads from side to side while wearing it, or you can even kind of just roll them. So this is what it looks like. It also looks pretty nice. Obviously you can use whatever kind of materials that you want to, but this is then the finished ring. So I really hope you enjoyed the tutorial for this quick and easy fidget ring. Now I do sell the jewelry from many of my tutorials in my shop, along with kits and other tutorials, so I'm going to leave a link to that in the description box down below if you're interested. Otherwise, I really hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you so much for watching it, and I'll see you in the next one.